Welcome to this series. The series is focused on sustainability efforts of our 300 plus sports and corporate members, and we will highlight the efforts they have undertaken in their facilities and projects that are moving the needle on waste diversion, as well as water and energy consumption. We aim to provide a platform to share best practices and how to take a project from the theoretical to the operational execution phase and everything that occurs in between. And for our second installation of the case study series, we welcome Allegiant Stadium, home of the Las Vegas Raiders and the upcoming Super Bowl, Super Bowl 58. We're excited for you to join the team. We're excited for the Allegiant Stadium team to join us today as they provide an in-depth look at their waste diversion program. This webinar will feature Samantha Johnson, VP of Sales, Samantha Cuen Salazar, Senior Director of Maintenance, and Krystle Johnson, owner of Alder Consultant, as well as Ken, which I'll get to on the next slide. This webinar, as they outline program from concept to execution, Allegiant Stadium has approached sustainability and waste diversion with a forward-thinking mindset, being the first in the world to put into place a variety of programs and initiatives. Through a collaborative team approach, this venue ensures that its world-class reputation includes a robust and successful sustainability program. And with that, I will pass it along to the next slide and introduce all of our panelists for today, including Ken as well. So with that, I'll start with Samantha Johnson, VP of Sales at Allegiant Stadium. She leads the robust private events program, which consists of over 120 events per year, varying from groups of 50 to upwards of 50,000. She has successfully positioned Allegiant Stadium as the most sought after venue for private events in the Las Vegas market, and leads a talented team of sales and event management professionals with client-driven mindsets. And along with the private events team, Sam oversees the sustainability program, ensuring that the program and its initiatives guarantee its success aligns with the team's values, the commitments to the community, and Sam is passionate about Allegiant Stadium's sustainable impact in Las Vegas and beyond. We have another Sam joining us as well, Samantha Cuen Salazar, Senior Director of Senior Maintenance, with more than 20 years of experience in the Las Vegas hospitality industry, including 7 of those years spent opening prominent sports and entertainment venues. Samantha Cuen Salazar has always kept her passion for animals and the environment at the forefront of her work. Once joining the team at Allegiant Stadium as Senior Director of Maintenance, she took on an immediate interest in expanding the sustainability program, using her expertise to oversee various key initiatives, including enhanced COVID cleaning protocols, humane wildlife mitigation processes, and managing waste diversion. In her personal time, Sam volunteers, contributes supplies, and fosters at local dog rescues. And then next we have Krystle Johnson, owner of Alder Consulting. Alder Consulting provides services to build, maintain, and enhance thriving sustainabilities for companies of all sizes. Krystle, the owner of ATC, believes strong foundations make for empowered eco-champions within the companies and communities she works with. Having grown up with the principles of caring for the environment, Krystle graduated from UC Santa Cruz with a double major in environmental studies and politics. And now with over 10 years of sports, entertainment, and facilities sustainability management practices under her belt, she is excited to continue empowering people to be the best eco-champs they can be. And then finally, we have Ken Beckstead. And Ken Beckstead, it's a treat to have him today. He has a great disdain for cigarette litter. This led him to invent the Butts Only Box, a cigarette receptacle that was approved for statewide use by the California Department of Transportation. Ken is trained in stormwater pollution prevention and has taught water professionals from Texas, Illinois, California, and Arizona, and Nevada about protecting the waters of America for the past 10 years. His cigarette receptacles are being used by the Nevada Department of Transportation to protect a historical watershed that settlers used while crossing the country, so going back quite some time. And then on his free time, Ken enjoys hiking and water sports, and Ken can be reached through his website at www.buttsonlybox.com. All right, so now that we have the pomp and circumstance all completed, I would be very happy to pass it over to our Allegiant Stadium partners to dive into what we're all here for today, is to get an in-depth look at their facilities, their operations, and their sustainability program. So with that, I'll hand it off to you all.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Bradley. We're thrilled to be here today and have the opportunity to show off this program that we are incredibly proud of. I'll introduce myself. I'm Sam Johnson. So as Bradley said, I am the VP of Sales at Allegiant Stadium. It's always a funny conversation for somebody to hear that a VP of Sales or somebody with a sales focus is head of sustainability at a stadium. And for me, it makes so much sense. And I think people should look at it in a different light. You know, sustainability is not just an operation and an action taken. Sustainability is about telling your story to the community, telling what we're doing in this building to inspire other buildings to the same, to inspire people, to have our clients understand what we are doing, so that when they come to our building, they know that their event is being treated in a way that, you know, is positively impacting the environment. This building is it is programmed daily, and my team is really responsible for those day-to-days. You know, we have a ton of football games, of course, concerts, but the private events, they're happening Monday through Thursday, almost every single day. So you can imagine how much waste that is. You can imagine how much activity that is. So we ensure that every single event that comes through here is really open and receptive and knows about what we're doing to ensure that we are leaving, you know, a very positive mark on this community. So very passionate for what we're doing for the community, the brand, our clients, and my role here is to essentially communicate that to our partners and clients, as well as to give Krystle and Sam the resources that they need to get buy-in for the vision of the program and what the program needs to be successful. So I'm very, very proud to be a part of this. And with that, I'd love to kick it over to Sam Cuen.
Thanks, Sam. Yep, my name is Sam Cuen. I'm the Senior Director of Facility Maintenance here at Allegiant Stadium and a part of the sustainability team. Managing a department with 75% of our contracted partners, it's always a challenge, but I am always communicating our goals, working with each partner on how we can collectively expand our sustainability initiatives here at the stadium. And I've made it a focus living by the 4 R's: replace, reduce, reuse, and recycle. So I think simply that's the overall for us here, and it has been a key factor in building and growing our initiatives and our robust program at the stadium. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Krystle Johnson.
So hi everyone, my name's Krystle Johnson. I'm the owner of Alder Consulting and the sustainability consultant for Allegiant Stadium. What my role looks like in this is really just truly bridging connects and bridging various departments and entities. So I'm working with stadium departments, stadium stakeholders and entities, vendors, any events that are coming through. So like if we have a private event if the private event department has a client that wants to learn more about our sustainable practices here, they activate me and I'll come in and talk about the program, talk about our data, some activations we do a tour, things like that. And so that's my role in a nutshell. And to talk about the mission of the sustainability program is really we're looking to commit to developing sustainable practices. And this is throughout all of our pillars. So the pillars being waste diversion, energy optimization, water efficiency, green purchasing, and a big one for us is guest and staff education. And then of course, how are we connecting to our community's eco efforts and continually just improve the program and continue with increasing and reaching our goals. So now in regards to this webinar, we're going to transition over to waste diversion, and we're going to dive into talking about, what it took to get here, the theoreticals, when we rolled it all out, and Sam will touch on that, Sam Cuen. But right now, I'll intro the waste diversion program and talk about some of our unique streams. So the waste diversion program boasts 17 diversion streams. So those streams we're working obviously to divert away from landfill. Some of those that you can imagine are various plastics, 1, 2, 3, 5, those types. We have cardboard that we're diverting, glass, aluminum, pallets, that low-hanging fruit diversion type of material. Some unique streams that I'd like to note is our food scrap collection program. So all of the end of event food scraps, be it a large event, a private event, even a staff luncheon, we divert that food scraps and send it over to a livestock farm locally here in Las Vegas. So what happens is they process the food scraps into livestock feed. And so that's one that we're excited to always note. Another one is our rubber turf pellet program. So we have the UNLV turf and then the Raiders field tray. And so when the two events are having, we're going to have a conversion. Obviously, we go from turf to the field tray. And so in that, the turf is getting rolled up and the little rubber pellets are being left behind, obviously, and it's having to be cleaned up. Well, we created this program where the ops team and the maintenance team work together to collect all that material. And then we have a local recycling vendor in town that collects it all for recycling. And it's been really fruitful for us because, as you can imagine, we're going from a UNLV game over to another event. So it's like that turf is being laid, as well as private events too. We lay that turf. And so we've been able to capture a lot of rubber pellets. So that's a really fun one we like to showcase. And then lastly, of course, our cigarette waste collection program, which we'll be touching with Ken on later on in this webinar. But really just encapsulating how do we keep looking at our current diversion streams, and then what are some new streams we can develop to continue to divert away from landfill. So with all that being said, I'll pass it over to Sam Cuen, who will discuss the theoretical and how we turned it into a reality.
Yes, thanks again, Krystle. Brainstorming what we wanted to see in waste diversion program was key. Looking within our daily operations of the stadium, how shows run, how the guests interact with the venue, and how our staff works throughout the back of house was important to understand the needs of the program. Once we conceptualized the waste diversion program, the next steps were to build a strong base, working together amongst various departments and stadium entities. We started with low-hanging opportunities. We looked at what we could immediately start diverting and what necessities did we need to get the program on an efficient cadence. This meant finding vendors who could service our diversion needs. Then once that was established, working on creating applicable signage, training staff, and begin tracking to learn what monthly improvements we could make. One unique and unexpected result of our robust program were the opportunities that presented themselves surrounding our clients, in which Sam Johnson can speak more to that.
Thank you, Sam. Wow, incredible undertaking. Yeah, I want to tell a story when it comes to the client engagement. We had this top client, and I mean somebody that we sought after for a very long time, and finally got in the door, and they finally said, yes, we'll come see your building. So, we're pulling out all the stops. What do they want to see? What is it going to look like? And I get on the phone with them to plan their site visit, and they say, we know you have a great building. That's obvious. I'm like, okay. They say, we want to talk about your sustainability program. We want to hear about that program when we're on site. And I think that was the first time that in real time it clicked so much how important it was to our clients. And sustainability isn't a buzzword. It's something that clients are very committed to and partners are very committed to. And I was thrilled to be able to say on that call, I'm actually, very involved in the sustainability program. We have a fantastic consultant. We have fantastic internal team members that are part of this program. And that site visit was a 30-minute conversation between Krystle and the client, explaining to them what we do, how we will service their very large event, how we will ensure that we are not throwing away all of their garbage, that we are going to divert, that we are going to use sustainable materials. And the client was incredibly impressed. And we've honestly worked that into some of our initial conversations with our clients. We bring it to the table now. We don't ask them. We say, hey, we're going to divert at your event. This is what it looks like. Would you like a diversion report? And they're so pleasantly surprised. So we have gotten ahead of something that we think is very important to our clients and the community and our partners. We're also really proud of a scenario in which, a team was bringing in a lot of equipment, carpet, all kinds of stuff, and they were planning to throw it away. And this is in no way their fault or placing blame. Some people aren't thinking that far ahead or aren't that far in their process and their sustainability mindset, where they didn't know. And we said, no, we're not going to throw all this away. We're going to donate this. We're going to use it somewhere else. We're of course going to divert it. And again, they were so impressed. So we bring ideas to the table, and we found a way to position all of the good we're doing. We're going to do it anyway. But to tell the story is incredibly important, because we think that we've really inspired how clients think of our building and raising the expectation of what they're going to expect when they go into another building. And we've also teamed up with the community. We've done tons of tours where local community members from various organizations that have a sustainability mindset, they'll come and say, what's your program? Like, let's see it. There's no trade secrets. We want to share everything with our partners and with venues and with the community, because it's all going to elevate what is going on in Las Vegas. It's good for everyone. So that's been a really fun part of this job. There's so much work that goes into it, but there's so much good that comes out of it. And with that, we will transition to vendors. We are fortunate to find vendors that are so forward thinking and passionate. And I think you will understand that when you meet Ken. He is such an incredible partner. So with that, I'd like to transition to Ken and Krystle.
Thanks, Sam. All right.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having me here. I invented the butts only box because I was working in construction and I saw that cigarettes were littered all over the place. And I learned that the #1 littered item in the world is cigarettes. So I invented this box, had it patented, and then I had it approved by the Department of Transportation in California, Caltrans, and we installed these at rest areas across California. The first year we collected 1 million cigarette butts, so Caltrans asked how we can keep the cigarette butts out of the landfill. I did a BTU test, and it turns out the cigarette waste is the same pound for pound as lignite coal. So from basically my hate of cigarette litter turned into a waste energy program, and here we are today.
Yeah, as Sam said, thank you so much for being here, Ken. We're so thrilled to have you, and really just to talk about the successes of the cigarette waste program here. And I'd love for us to dive into, if you could please tell us about the butts only box receptacles and what makes your design unique.
Absolutely, thank you very much. As I said, these are DOT approved, and why they are DOT approved is they're actually designed to shield the cigarette waste from rain and irrigation cycles. Cigarette butts contain harmful compounds that we do not want in our drinking water. So this was actually designed to shield the cigarette waste. It has internal secondary containment to keep the cigarette waste dry and to make servicing a breeze in seconds. So basically, we have a lockable box, so underage smokers or disadvantaged people can't get to smoke cigarette butts because you don't want disease to pass person to person with a used cigarette butt. So basically what started, again, as a hate for cigarette butts, I designed this with stormwater pollution prevention first in mind, actually with the help of a U.S. Fire Marshal as well, to actually get a design that would not have any problems. And you see the inlet screen here keeps trash out of it. We have a snuffer right here built on so you can snuff your cigarette or cigar out. And it's actually designed so you can actually ash your cigars or cigarettes without putting ashes all over the ground, which again helps preserve our drinking water.
Thanks, Ken. The plastic fiber fact always gets me, so thanks for outlining that. Let's talk about the Butts to Watts program. Can you tell us more on that one?
Absolutely. Again, cigarette waste is very high in energy. The BTU potential is similar to lignite coal. So basically throwing a pound of cigarette waste away is like throwing a pound of coal away. And with us going to electric vehicles and everything going electric these days, we need all the electricity we can get. So at 576 watts per pound of energy, all it takes is 24 cigarette butts to charge your cell phone for an hour. Now, with everybody using a cell phone, this is something that we can relate to, okay? So each pound that we are diverting from the landfill is a pound that's not off-gassing, it's not polluting the waters, and it's energy that we're putting directly back on the grid, and all the plants are EPA certified, so it's clean energy that we're getting from the #1 littered item in the world.
Thanks, Ken. From the stadium's perspective, there were 3 issues that we wanted to tackle in regards to cigarette waste. One was, how do we reduce and eliminate the amount of cigarette waste on the plaza floor? So something I'd like to note right away, we do not smoke inside this venue. We just brought this inside so you guys could see an actual example of the box, as well as we'll run through the servicing later. But these normally live outside on the external plaza. And so prior to these boxes, we were trying to figure this out, like how do we work to eliminate the cigarette butts on the floor? And that was #1. And #2 was, how do we ensure that these boxes can withstand the high winds of Las Vegas? If you've ever been to Vegas during a windy day, you will understand what I mean when I say that. It can go, it's just very strong, and we wanted something that's sturdy, but also mobile, so that like we could actually move it and place it in another location of the plaza if there was some type of activation where if it's normally living in a certain spot, it could be able to be moved. And then finally, we wanted to think about, what was the aesthetic, right? We wanted to match the aesthetic of the plaza. And what's great is with, working with Ken, we were able to get something colored, customized. So those were the 3 things we wanted to tackle when we were searching for the right boxes. But yeah, let's kind of chat through the process of getting these boxes established here on site.
Absolutely, Krystle. What we did first is a pilot program. Same thing we did with Caltrans. We wanted to see if the things would work with the public. Okay, you have 65,000 fans at a time coming in here, and you want to make sure, first of all, it's not going to take off and become missing, for 1, and 2, it's going to be there when you come back to it, and 3, it's usable. If you look at this box, it has the QR code on it. It makes it really user-friendly to get up there with your phone, and we'll talk about that in a second, but it has labeling on all 4 sides with cigarette emblems on there. You don't even have to read to be able to know that this is for cigarettes, okay? So we started with 3 boxes out there in the prime smoking areas. They lasted 6 games. What we did is put out 11 more boxes. We did about another dozen games, and then we got 6 more. So now we have 20 boxes. So before the games, during halftime, and after the games, people have a place they know they can go to and safely discard their cigarette waste. And even on the labeling, it tells you we're making energy. And as Krystle alluded to, we do this in team colors. So we want to do it so it actually gets people involved in, hey, walk over to why? Because it is the team colors. So there's a lot to it that we're doing.
Yep. Thank you, Ken. Yeah, to your point, Ken, just about the trial program, in my opinion, and seeing from the sustainability program opinion, being able to see that actually in play and have those 3 boxes as a trial and see, yes, they actually can withstand the wind, and folks are interacting with them. It was a really nice opportunity for us to have. So let's chat through a question of, is Allegiant Stadium the first football stadium to have the Butts to Watts program?
We are proud to be here. We are actually dealing with DOTs. As mentioned earlier, we're actually protecting a watershed that historically that the settlers used while settling this country. To be here is a big thing. We are actually teaching people from around the state, around the country, and around the world what sustainability can be at the next level. So now people are going to go home to their town, cities, and they're going to have a new awareness of sustainability. Why? Because we are literally at the pinnacle of sustainability with this program right now.
Yeah, thank you. To your point, from our perspective, leadership, being leaders in sustainability, and kind of how what Sam Johnson alluded to earlier of, doing the right thing in town and showcasing that and wanting to share with other entities that are here on the strip. being able to talk about that and show successful programs is really the pinnacle of it all, because, you know, we've created these, you know, SOPs and these processes, but then actually being able to see the guests interact with it, actually having staff be able to collect it in a very efficient way, that has been really wonderful for us in this regard. So I did want to ask you, from a vendor's perspective, how has this helped our community and enhanced the community?
That's a great question, Krystle. These boxes are literally made less than a mile from where we stand. They're literally made here in Las Vegas. We use the local labor and local companies to do this. The storm drains right here at the stadium all lead to Lake Las Vegas and then lead to Lake Mead. The stormwater pollution prevention that they are doing here with this program is literally protecting the drinking water for millions of people in California, Arizona, and Nevada, because we all drink from the same lake, okay? So every cigarette butt that we're putting in here is 16,000 plastic fibers that are not going into our drinking water supplies. And ocean plastic pollution, the #1 cause of it right now is cigarette butts. So by having this program here, Allegiant is being a leader and a teacher to the rest of the sports around the country. This is how it should be done, and it's a very easy program to implement, and with a very little human modification for behavior.
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, really just touching on the components of waste diversion, good waterway practice, the waste to energy, but then also the engagement and the education we've been able to provide to the guests. I'd like to dive a little deeper into that. So when we were, you know, working with Ken and his team on designing the stickers, we brought in our stadium creative as well, because we wanted something very customized to the venue. And so we worked together on that, and we just talked about, okay, what are things that are eye-catching? Obviously, we want the colors of the stadium, and then also adding this QR code. So the guest will scan this QR code, and it's going to take us to the stadium's website sustainability page. And on that page is where you'll have a full list of the sustainability programs, activations, some fun facts. You'll have all that information. I mean, even the viewers of this webinar could go onto that page and you'd be able to see how much energy has been created from collecting the cigarette waste here on site. And so that, just saying that provides the QR code, and being able to go to that website provides a really wonderful tool to guests. Because if you think about it, it's like, okay, the guest is going to the website, seeing how much waste has been turned into energy, and that's their work. You know, that's a shout out to the guest and the shout out to our staff for closing the loop in a way to make this a successful program all the way. Like, we created this foundation, right? But then it's our guests and it's the staff that are just closing that loop and making it a success and giving them the ownership of that. I know that you wanted to show the viewers how to service the box and talk about the entire process.
Absolutely. The boxes are lockable with a standard padlock, because we don't want people getting in there and smoking other people's cigarette waste. Okay, so you have a standard padlock that goes on here. The internal secondary containment comes out the service basket. You dump it. It's basically serviced in seconds without direct contact with the cigarette waste. When you have your guests out there going through receptacles that have sand in them and all that stuff, you have to think of your workers. And when I designed this, I designed it because I was going to service this, and I made it to where I'm not going to have to touch cigarette waste. It's going to be a bare minimum of contact. And then the buckets have screw-on lids with O-rings. This barrel has an O-ring in it. You don't smell any of this stuff once the stuff gets in the barrels. So I made simple, easy servicing, and just like using the box, it's easy to service. There's other receptacles out there that are literally made out of plastic. We don't need them for a flammable object. We did this with stormwater pollution prevention. We took this a very serious method to combat the #1 littered item in the world, and they saw how serious I took it, and look where we are today, being a world leader in the sports industry on waste management. And I can't be more proud of this relationship. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken. The final thing I'll touch on, and before we wrap with Ken, I think something that I'd like the viewers to take away with them in regards to this program and the success we've seen so far is really sharing with your guests and your staff on the why, right? So like I mentioned earlier, we create this space, you know, we can create the SOPs, we can create these visual documents of here's how you service this box. But if we don't teach them on the why and why it's important, cleaning our waterways, diverting away from the landfill that all of those toxins, sending it to waste to energy, talking about the why gives them an understanding on why they need to take that extra step and how to make it something in their daily, you know, operational processes for the day. So I think that's the biggest thing for us is understanding and telling that story to the guests and the staff. And then I'd like to close it with just giving the guests the biggest shout out. I'm here during a concert at halftime. I'm out there looking, and there's, you know, we have a crowd smoking, but, you know, they know if they come over to the receptacle, they're smoking, they're putting their ash, they're putting their waste in there, they're interacting with the box, they're scanning the QR code, being able to visually see that, it's wonderful because it's showing it in action, and it's showing that the guests are interested in doing their part and doing the right thing rather than just flicking it on the floor. You put it in a box and it's going to get, you know, there's so many things that are going to help the environment by doing that. So it's been really a wonderful experience for us to be able to see that. And so yeah, I wanted to close with that and just really thank you again for being here. And we really are so proud of this program.
Without the fans, we wouldn't be here, and we want to treat the fans with every courtesy we can and every convenience we possibly can.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And so, you know, now that we've discussed throughout the webinar, the start of this program, you know, what were our theoretical thinkings and showcasing a successful diversion stream, I'd like to throw it over to Sam to all of us to dive into what's very exciting to us is to talk about the future. You know, what do our next steps look like, and how do we attain and keep reaching the goals that we're giving ourselves? So I'll throw it to Sam Cuen so she can dive into our goal of zero waste.
Thank you, Krystle. That was an amazing presentation and something that I can back up and say that we're just so very proud of here at the stadium. Awesome. The future of Allegiant Stadium's Waste Diversion program is an exciting and impactful one we are grateful to take on as we continue to welcome our guests from all over the world to the venue. We understand all guests and staff have various perspectives. Our greatest work is figuring out how to tell the story in multiple formats so others are inspired to want to join in the movement. The program continually is sourcing various diversion material as well as working with various stadium entities to find ways to reduce what is coming on site in the first place by asking ourselves, does this product or item need to come through the loading dock, or is there an alternative item that is recyclable, compostable, or reusable rather than single use material or plastics? One exciting program being rolled out this month is our on-site composting program, where we will be able to compost food material, soiled paper, and some green waste. Currently, we are looking at an average diversion percentage of 55 to 65%. Our goal being zero waste on a consistent basis, of course. Transparency is key, ensuring we are not greenwashing any of our waste diversion efforts is a high priority to this program. Krystle, I'm going to throw it back at you so you can discuss consistent education and engagement components from our stakeholders at the stadium around our future efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. So as I had mentioned earlier, education is key for us here. And that, I mean, if you think about it, consistent education only adds fruition to future goals. And so what that means for us is looking at perspective, right? So checking in with departments such as maintenance, ops, engineering, IT, HR, office services, looking with the food and bev team, you know, just getting their perspective and saying, you know, obviously we've had this program for a certain amount of time, and you know, in this past quarter, what have you seen? In this past month, what did you see that you think we can improve on? we just have that flow of conversation, and that's very important to us. Another big key of engagement and education is our quarterly waste diversion trainings. So we have quarterly waste diversion trainings for maintenance, and ops and engineering are also invited. What we do is we outline all of our diversion streams, and we show visuals of where our bins are back of house, what this material is going to, like which recycling vendor. So for example, like with the food scraps, I tell the pig farm story, you know, all that information to give our staff the visual is very important. And doing it on a quarterly basis, number one, it's a good refresher for folks that have been here for a while. Number two, we have new staff consistently that might be coming in or, you know, moving into a new role. So really just educating and explaining what our program is the biggest thing for us. Something else I wanted to touch on is some examples of how we've collaborated with stadium entities, and how by doing these check-ins, it has helped us in our future goals, and I'll explain this now. So one example is our food and beverage team, specifically the kitchen crew. Again, we created the base, we created the SOPs, we created the visuals, proper signage over at the trash dock saying, hey, food scraps here. We did all that stuff, right, to make it successful, like at the very beginning. But then they took it a step further, and they are collecting food scraps. Like they are actually getting all of the food scraps from our suites, concessions. You should see at the end of the event, all the kitchen crew, food and bev team, placing any like end of event, like Schaefer food scraps into the food diversion stream. And then, you know, that gets taken over to the trash dock. But it's just like a well-oiled machine. And it's become like this daily expectation, right? It's not just like this task that it's not this thing we're asking like, oh gosh, it's just this extra thing I have to do. It's like, no, like this is what we do because we don't throw this in the landfill stream. And they've really bought into that, and that's why we've seen so much success with that, in my opinion. Another great example is the Raiders grounds crew. So as you can imagine, the football field grass gets cut on a consistent basis. We were seeing that it was getting mixed with some other type of materials, and obviously we wanted a certain amount, we needed a certain percentage so it could go to compost of just clean stream grass cuttings, right? And so we worked closely with them, we explained the why, we explained the benefit to doing this. We gave them that perspective, and we didn't use, we just said it in a way where we had that really great rapport, and we have it with them. It's really wonderful to work with them. But in 2022, we saw so much success in having that good rapport and building those strong relationships that we were able to divert 45,640 pounds of grass cuttings and that went to compost. It was a huge win for us, and Sam Cuen will understand, like we went through everything, proper signage, proper bin deployment, obviously relaying to the grounds crew what our ask was. And so to see that at the end of the season, how much we were able to divert, just looking at from ours, right? So looking at the 2021 season to 2022, we were able to just look within ourselves like, oh, we did improve, and this is why we improved. So creating those strong relationships and educating and just really connecting with the department, I think is really key for your future, what goals you're trying to attain in the future, be it quarterly or be it monthly, on quarter, or on a yearly basis. That's really paramount to us. So, so as you've seen throughout this webinar, we're incredibly integrated with our stakeholders. We're really proud to be working with some really wonderful vendors in the waste diversion world. But of course, community is a really crucial part of this entire process. And so I'll pass it over to Sam Johnson to talk about our commitment to the community.
Incredible. Thank you, Krystle. Yeah, as Krystle was saying, community is a huge part of why we do what we do, and what that can look like. It can look like many different things. but we've donated items to the local women's shelter. We have donated turf paint to a local high school. You can imagine there's a ton of events that come through here, and they don't always want or need to leave with what they brought. So before we even consider throwing anything away and diverting it, number one is who else needs this? Can we donate it? Can we better the community with the resources and the items we have here? And that also, you can think of that as how we're engaging with our local team, with our team at the stadium, and how they are engaging with the community. And on this webinar today, Sam, Krystle, and I, we have our weekly meetings. Like, we are the core of this sustainability team, but there is so much that everyone in this building does that contributes to sustainability. And what we want to do is we want our team to take action and bring ideas and to understand what we are doing in the building so they can support it and they can bring ideas to the table from their departmental perspectives. So what we've done is, I call them field trips because truly they are. They're eco-educations. They are fantastic experiences where we find something local in the community that we want to engage with, that's sustainability centric, and we take a trip with our team. And it's funny, the first couple trips we did, handful of people, and it's grown every time, because when you put on paper and send in an email, hey guys, we're going to go to the landfill, all full-time staff are invited, please come and learn about our diversion efforts. People are kind of like, do I want to go to a landfill? But when they come back, everyone is talking about how much they've learned and how their perspectives have changed. And all of a sudden, now they're more engaged and they're bringing ideas to the table. And I can tell you, my perspective was tremendously shifted when we went to that landfill, and we went to the pig farm. I'm very into animal advocacy. It's important in my beliefs and value sets, and to see that the food scraps that we are diverting are going to the pig farm and how well these pigs are cared for, and the people that are in place to do these things for our community, it opens your eyes, and we want to make sure that we give our staff the opportunity to engage with the community. So it's not just an effort at the top, it really trickles down to absolutely everyone involved in our building. So, as I hope everyone has learned today, we are very passionate about our position in Las Vegas and what we do for the good of the community. Vegas is a place where so many people come to visit, whether that's business travel, conventions, whether it's, coming just with your family. We want to support this city for the tourists coming in and for people like us that make this place their home. So we are incredibly committed and passionate, and we appreciate the time today to tell you about how far we've come and where we're going. So with that, I would love to pass it to Shay to wrap up this webinar series.
Yeah, and Shay's coming on as well, but I wanted to jump in just quickly, just to give some high level kind of thoughts, and because great presentation. I mean, very, very, very insightful, I would say, from top to bottom. I mean, really the biggest takeaways I gained from this is, the ability to find creative solutions with waste. I mean, there's so many different routes. You mentioned the paint recycling or donation to local schools. The butts only box is a great example of how you can get creative with those systems. And then the rubber pellets with the turf recycling. So, I mean, all those little bits add up. So it's really finding those synergies as well. And like the butts only box, I really like those synergies because they're not just diverting from a landfill or, generating energy, but it is also that synergy with the water, stormwater collection system. And that's what we want to find within this industry, is those synergies. There are those synergies to be had. So, definitely kudos on that front. And then I think it was Samantha Cuen who said, transparency is key, and we can't stress that enough. And I really appreciate you setting realistic goals with your waste diversion program, for the next few years. Like, yes, the goal is zero waste, but there is, a process behind really getting to that point properly in a way that's not greenwashing. So really, and then the last piece is the training side of it. And I really admire the quarterly trainings. I think that's pivotal, especially in the world where you get so much turnover with staff and things like that. So really, this, I think, has been a very enlightening conversation. So with that, I'll pass it to Shay.
Thank you so much, everyone. I just wanted to pop on and shout out what's coming up next for the Green Sports Alliance. As many of you might know, we have resources available on our website at greensportsalliance.org/resources. All of our webinars dating back from 2012 and all of the playbooks where you can learn more are there. We also have recordings available on our YouTube. Really excited to shout out our upcoming summit that is hosted in Seattle this June 26th to the 28th, bringing together stakeholders in the sports and entertainment ecosystem around the Act on Climate. So go and take advantage of early bird pricing while you can, and we are looking forward to seeing you and joining you in Seattle this summer. And again, sharing best practices, everyone can scan this QR code if you're interested in accessing the playbooks, webinars, case studies, and all of the wonderful best practices guides that we have available on our websites, not only for the members of the Green Sports Alliance, but the entire ecosystem as a whole. And to wrap things up here, really excited to have 2 upcoming workshops with the Green Sports Alliance. So at the to kind of kick off Earth Month this April, we will have the Play to Zero, our 4th installation for the approach to carbon neutrality. So we are talking tools to compare funding and implementation pathways with Blue Strike Environmental. If you have not been able to make any of the Play to Zero webinars, this is one that you will not want to miss. And if you plan on attending, go back and refresh your memory with those webinars we've posted on our YouTube. It's going to be a really engaging and fun talk about how you can start implementing this approach to carbon neutrality at your venue, stadium, or within your sports organization. And our 3rd installation for the case study series is coming up here on April 26th at 12 p.m. Central Time, where we are welcoming Gillette Stadium and the New England Patriots for our 3rd case study. We're talking leveraging sustainability as a revenue stream. So another webinar that you guys will not want to miss. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar with Allegiant Stadium, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Bye, everyone.